Why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers.
This is my video update on this Saturday afternoon, August the 2nd, coming to you from Lica, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And we are going to start things off with the Trump Truth Social meltdown. Can you guys hear that? What is that? So we had the Trump Truth Social meltdown in response to Dmitry Medvedev's post on Telegram. I don't even think he posted his troll of Trump the other day on X. I believe it was just on Telegram. But anyway, Medvedev got into a social media spat with Lindsey Graham, and Medvedev definitely won that one. I believe Lindsey Graham was severely ratioed in his back and forth with Medvedev. So Lindsey Graham went crying to Trump, and Trump came to Lindsey's defense to defend Lindsey Graham's honor, and then Medvedev posted his post on Telegram, where he talked about the dead hand and Trump. Trump yesterday, he lost it, man. He lost it. Weakness, man. Not peace through strength, but weakness through Truth Social posts. I don't know. But Medvedev got him. There's no other way that you can describe what happened yesterday. Medvedev got inside the head of the president of the United States. This may be the most epic troll in all of history, because Trump actually said that he will be positioning nuclear subs close to Russia, somewhere around Russia, because of Medvedev's post on Telegram where he talked about the dead hand. So this did not look good for Trump. A lot of people are coping and trying to make it appear as if, Trump had to defend the United States of America because Dmitry Medvedev was talking about nuclear strikes and stuff like that. No. Trump got triggered, man. He got so triggered that he put up one of the most epic meltdown posts in all of history, perhaps the most epic meltdown posts in all of history, where the United States president talks about deploying nuclear subs over a social media post where the former president of Russia, we're talking about the president of more than 10 years ago, not the current president of Russia, the president of Russia from 10 years ago, posts about a defensive Russian mechanism, a nuclear doctrine mechanism, which is defensive in nature. From what I understand, when Medvedev is referencing the dead hand, he's talking about the United States or any country going after Russia, striking Russia first, trying to take out the leadership. And if that happens, then Russia has a mechanism where if the leadership is targeted, then the nukes launch automatically, something like that. Which, the United States did try to take out the leadership of Iran just about a month ago. And the United States is constantly talking about regime changing Putin and taking out Putin and breaking up Russia. They're constantly talking about this. They never shut up about regime changing Russia and taking out Putin. And they tried to take out the leadership in Iran, all the way to the supreme leader and the president. So, you know, Medvedev is not so far off when you think about it. And by the way, at the end of his post, he does put a smiley face, laughing emoji. I actually talked about this in my video a couple of days. The last part of Medvedev's post, where he says, well, let him remember his favorite movies about the Walking Dead, as well as how dangerous the fabled dead hand can be. And there's a laughing smiley emoji, right? So, I mean, honestly, what is Trump even doing? Addressing the former president of Russia, not the current president of Russia, the former president of Russia. What is he even doing addressing this? The current president of the United States should not be engaging with the former president of Russia. The president of the United States should be engaging with the president of Russia, the current president of Russia, right? What is he doing? What is he doing? And you know what the president of the United States should do? He should tell the senator from South Carolina to just zip it, man. Zip it, Lindsey. That's what he should do. Anyway, it looked bad. It looked really bad for Trump. That's my opinion on this. I know there's a lot of people trying to justify Trump's post on Truth Social about moving the subs and they're coping, but honestly, Trump shouldn't have even wasted 2 seconds on Medvedev's posts. You're the president of the United States. You have a million other things to deal with than getting involved in an online Twitter exchange between the former president of Russia and the senator of South Carolina, right? Oh man. So what did Trump post? So he posted, based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Right. Words are now important. Now words are really important to President Trump. Oh man. What a clown world this is, man. What a freaking clown world this is. And I bet you no nuclear subs were deployed anywhere, right? I bet you those nuclear subs are somewhere in the region anyway, right? Oh man. So Trump is taking us towards a nuclear exchange over Lindsey Graham running his mouth nonstop and Medvedev replying to Lindsey Graham, who's running his mouth nonstop, right? And Lindsey Graham doesn't only run his mouth; he actually travels to Kiev and runs his mouth as he's hugging Zelensky and getting a whiff of that Zelensky number 5. It's intoxicating, Volodymyr. Oh boy. So yeah, you know, the United States does have super hypersonic missiles, according to Trump. The hypersonic technology was stolen by Putin from Obama, according to Trump. Putin stole the hypersonic technology from Obama, and the U.S., they had to skip over hypersonic and they just went straight to super hypersonic. That is what Trump said a couple of months ago. But the United States doesn't have hypersonic missiles. They don't have Oreshniks. The United States is way, way, way behind Russia when it comes to these types of weapons. Way behind. It's not even close. So, uh, so Matt Getz, he posted on X, Russia, we don't seek war with you, but stop with the effing nuclear talk, or else. Or else. For which I replied on X. Point number one, Donald Trump asked Zelensky if Ukraine could hit Moscow. This is according to the Financial Times. Remember that? That only happened a couple of weeks ago, where the Financial Times reported that Trump was speaking to Zelensky, and he told him, can you hit Moscow and St. Petersburg with long-range missiles? And Zelensky said, yeah, give me the missiles. Hey, give me the missiles, Mr. Trump, and I do it. But of course, I will need U.S. satellite and targeting, right? Right. So Matt Getz and a lot of the people that are saying Trump is in the right on this, they're forgetting that just a couple of weeks ago, Trump was talking about hitting Moscow, the capital of Russia, with long-range missiles. Number two, former U.S. House Speaker Newt Gingrich threatened that huge number of Russians could die if the U.S. decides to get serious. That was just 2 days ago. U.S. Senator Graham calls Russians dying the best money the U.S. has spent. He said that multiple times. Point number four, former Pentagon official, many more body bags needed to achieve regime change in Russia. Do we need to mention U.S. long-range missile strikes into Russia or recent discussions to launch U.S. Tomahawks into Russia? Yeah, Trump and his team were actually considering Tomahawks, nuclear-capable Tomahawks being given to Ukraine, of which we all know that Ukraine can't launch these things. The United States has to launch these things, or at a minimum has to provide all of the targeting and all of the tech. They were talking about this 2 weeks ago, about sending Tomahawks to Ukraine. And this was in the Washington Post. I forgot the reporter. He's the reporter that has all of the inside information from the CIA, but the name is I can't remember the name. Anyway, yeah, they were talking about Tomahawks. And then someone told Trump, Mr. President, that's probably not a good idea, right, to send nuclear-capable Tomahawks to Ukraine, and then we start launching nuclear-capable Tomahawks into Russia, looking to hit Moscow and St. Petersburg. So just to put things in perspective, right? Medvedev, who's on the Security Council, president over 10 years ago, posts on Telegram about, mostly in response to Lindsey Graham, but also in response to Trump, who came in to defend Lindsey Graham because Lindsey Graham can't defend himself. But Medvedev posts about zombie stuff, right? Zombie stuff and The Walking Dead and the dead hand, right? Smiley emoji. Okay? And that's what Medvedev posts. Meanwhile, you have the United States provoking Russia into a proxy war, trying to get regime change, talking nonstop about regime changing Putin. Even Biden talked about regime changing Putin. The collective West, the European Union, actually has seminars, actually has events, 2-day events, where they talk about breaking apart Russia into 6 different regions. You have Lindsey Graham just not shutting up about destroying Russia and regime changing Putin. You have Pentagon officials talking about body bags. You have U.S. officials. Many U.S. officials have said this is the best money we ever spent. Many current U.S. senators have said that Project Ukraine is the best money we have ever spent. And Trump just 2 weeks ago was talking about Tomahawks and sending long-range missiles into Moscow and St. Petersburg, as he continues to send weapons and money to the Zelensky regime. And as the United States, under Biden, actually did attack Russia with long-range missiles and ATACMS. And we're not talking about post-2014 Russia. We're talking about pre-2014 Russia, where the Biden administration sent ATACMS, long-range missiles, into the Russian Federation. And Putin showed a lot of restraint. He showed a lot of restraint, mainly because the Russian military was able to take down the ATACMS. They handled the ATACMS pretty easily. If the ATACMS did some damage, then we might have been in a nuclear war scenario. And Germany is talking about Taurus missiles going to Ukraine. Actually, we had a German military official just a couple of weeks ago saying that 100 plus long-range missiles, just don't call them a Taurus missile, are going to be sent in Ukraine, and their purpose is to strike deep in Russian territory. And we know that the Taurus missiles cannot be given to Ukraine because they have U.S. parts without the U.S.'s approval. And we also know that the Taurus missiles cannot be launched without German military officials or NATO U.S. military officials. And I haven't even gotten into 16,000 sanctions, which is an act of war. Sanctions are an act of war being placed on Russia, and Trump's never-ending threats about more sanctions and 100% tariffs so that he can take down Putin and destroy the Russian economy. But he loves the Russian people. He says, I love the Russian people, but I want to destroy their economy. So, I mean, when you put it in perspective, geez, what a baby. Trump, man. Trump and Graham. I'm sorry to say this, man, but it's the truth. It's the truth, and Trump should not be dealing with this. He shouldn't be dealing with this. What a meltdown, man. What a meltdown. It shows Trump's weakness, and it shows that he has no cards. If he actually had cards and leverage when it comes to Project Ukraine, he wouldn't be making these types of threats. But he has no cards. And he knows it, and he's getting angry, and he's getting frustrated. And Trump is not able to assert himself over Lindsey Graham for some strange, weird reason, right? Lindsey Graham controls Trump. Trump doesn't control the senator from South Carolina, which is very bizarre and very weird and has a lot of people asking a lot of questions. That also doesn't make Trump look good. Anyway, he should have never gotten involved in this. This was about the dumbest post you could have ever made on social media. The internet will have this, will hold this forever, right? The President of the United States threatens nuclear war via Truth Social post because of a Telegram smiley emoji dead man post from the former president of Russia in response to the senator of South Carolina. That is what happened. The New York Times says Trump says he ordered nuclear submarines repositioned amid a feud with a Putin ally. That's the title from the New York Times. And it didn't get any better as the day went along, because Trump also posted on Truth Social in his anger and frustration because he has no cards to play when it comes to Project Ukraine. And maybe he's starting to realize that the defeat is coming and that he is going to be blamed for this defeat. He did it to himself. He had a very easy exit on January 21st, but he didn't take it. He listened to Graham and Kellogg. Anyway, in his anger, in his frustration, he posted on Truth Social, I have just been informed that almost 20,000 Russian soldiers died this month in the ridiculous war with Ukraine. Russia has lost 112,500 soldiers since the beginning of the year. This is a lot of unnecessary death. Ukraine, however, has also suffered greatly. They have lost approximately 8,000 soldiers since January 1st, 2025. And that number does not include their missing. Ukraine has also lost civilians, but in similar numbers as Russian rockets crash into Kiev and other Ukrainian locales. This is a war that should have never happened. This is Biden's war, not Trump's, in all caps. I'm just here to see if I can stop it. You have failed to stop it. You're here to escalate it. If you wanted to stop it, you could have stopped it on January 21st, but you're actually here to escalate it. And this is your war, man. It's no longer Biden's war. No matter how many times you say it now, it's not going to change the reality that this is your war, Trump. And you're going to be blamed. You're going to be blamed by Lindsey Graham. When this thing collapses, Lindsey Graham will turn on you, as will Kellogg, U.S. President Trump. Believe me. Believe that. And anyway, the critical drinker. Believe that. Yeah, they're going to turn on you. They're all going to turn on you. But, you know, you decided to go this route for whatever reasons. 8,000 soldiers, he says, Ukraine has lost since the beginning of the year, and Russia has lost 112,500 soldiers. Just in this month, Trump was informed by someone, Podolyak, call up Trump and inform him. Yes, Mr. President, I will inform him. Thank you, Podolyak, you good friend.
Well, a former president of Russia, who's now in charge of one of the most important councils, Medvedev, said some things that were very bad, talking about nuclear. And when you mention the word nuclear, I say, you know, my eyes light up, and I say, we better be careful, because it's the ultimate threat. He shouldn't have said it. He's got a fresh mouth. He said things in the past, too. And so we always want to be ready. And so I have sent to the region 2 nuclear submarines. I just want to make sure that his words are only words and nothing more than that.
And they're closer to Russia, I assume?
They're closer to Russia, yeah, they're closer to Russia. It's a terrible situation going on over there.
Why are you talking about this, Trump? Why are you talking about this? Why are you posting this? I thought this is not your war. If this is not your war, then why are you posting about casualties? Why insert yourself into the casualty conversation if this is not your war? Who is advising Trump? Who is Trump's communication director? Is it Caroline Leavitt? Who is it? Who's advising Trump? Whoever's advising Trump needs to give better advice, right? Because you shouldn't insert yourself in this discussion if this is not your war, and if you are trying to mediate a peace, which we know you're not, but still, if you're trying to mediate a peace and this is not your war, why are you talking about casualties, man? McFly. And then the numbers, of course, are completely ridiculous, right? Anyone with half a brain understands that these numbers are ridiculous. Probably if they're inverted, they're actually very accurate if they were inverted, right? If it was Ukraine instead of Russia and Russia instead of Ukraine, then the numbers are probably spot on. But this is nonsense. I mean, Russia's advancing. Russia has an advantage in everything from drones, 10-to-1 advantage from drones to missiles to artillery to everything, man. To tanks, to planes, to you name it, to money, to population, to all of it. Russia has a 10-to-1, 15-to-1, 20-to-1 advantage. Just yesterday, I was talking about how Zelensky is now going to be recruiting. He signed into law a bill to recruit 60-year-olds plus. Russia's not doing any of that. I mean, anyway, we all know the reality of the situation. I'm not going to go into the details of it. I will say this, though. If these numbers were accurate, President Trump, and someone whispers these numbers into your ear, Kellogg comes to your office and tells you these numbers, what would you say? I'll tell you what I would say. Russia's going to lose the conflict, and they're going to capitulate, and they're going to surrender to us, so no problem, no panic. We won the war. We've defeated Russia. The US, EU, NATO, Ukraine, we've defeated Russia. Just give it another year. There's no way Russia can sustain these losses. Putin's going to have to surrender. Otherwise, he's going to be regime changed, most likely by his own military command. And it's over. That's what I would say if someone told me these numbers, 112,000 in 6 months compared to 8,000 for Ukraine in 6 months. I would say we're winning. So there's no need to give Ukraine any more weapons. There's no need for Ukraine to get any more money. That's for sure. There's no need for us to do anything, actually. If we're the United States, just keep on the same course. And we've won this thing in a year and some change. Why is the EU panicking? Why is NATO panicking? Why is Zelensky panicking? Why is Zelensky signing into law, recruiting, conscripting 60-year-olds plus? Why all the panic, man? We've won this thing. Look at the numbers. We've won it. End of story. That's just basic freaking logic, man. So, let's move on. Let's move on. A lot of this is, in my opinion, a lot of this is manipulation from Trump. I think he's trying to construct a narrative, put a narrative in place where he can then go to the American people and say, you know what? I tried my best, but Russia is dangerous. Putin is dangerous. He's talking about nukes. I don't like it. He's talking about nukes. And so we're going to have to give Ukraine some more money. I know I promised you that we would not give Ukraine any more money and any more weapons. I know I promised that. That's what I said in the campaign. I tried to hold on to that promise. But I just can't do it anymore. I have to protect the United States. It's not even about Ukraine anymore. It's about the United States. And so I'm going to give money to Ukraine, my money, not Biden's money. I'm going to approve billions and billions of dollars more to the Green Goblin. That's what I think this is about. That's why Trump has been lashing out at Putin over the past couple of weeks. That's why he says he's disgusted with Putin. That's why he's saying that everything Putin is doing is disgusted, and Melania is disgusted. And I'm going to dispatch nuclear subs, and you better watch it, Medvedev. And I don't like what Putin is doing. And every time I try to talk to him and mediate peace, Putin sends rockets into Kiev. That's why he's coming out with all of these statements, because he is manipulating the U.S. population. America First MAGA, his base, he's manipulating them into agreeing to his breaking of one of his major campaign promises, which was no money to Project Ukraine. Axios put out an article with the title, Fresh Senate Request for $55 billion for Ukraine. So the Senate already has the $55 billion ready to freaking go. We're not talking about Biden money. We're talking about new money. And some of this money is going to come from the Russian frozen assets, according to the Senate. But most of it is new money ready to go to Ukraine. The only thing that has to happen is for Trump to just sign off on it. And because Trump is a weak president, and he will do as the neocons tell him to do, and the Senate is a neocon chamber, mostly, Trump is going to do it. And he needs to find an excuse. He needs to find a way so that he can justify this to the American people, because this is going to be a major betrayal of a big campaign promise. And so the way he's going to do this is he's going to say, I had to do this to protect America, man. I had to do it. I just didn't like what Putin was saying and what Putin was doing. And Melania, she was crying at night. She was crying at night. I couldn't take it anymore. And that's why we're going to have to give Zelensky $55 billion in new money. That's what I think is going on. Of course, this also could be about distracting away from the Epstein list, right? It's probably both. It's probably both. This is serving as a great distraction from Epstein, isn't this? So Putin, how are we doing on time? So Putin had a meeting with Lukashenko, and this is going to be a long video, everybody. He had a meeting with Lukashenko in a monastery in the northwest of Russia, and Putin said some interesting things. He said that he was asked about Zelensky's talk about regime change. You see, just a couple of days ago, Zelensky was talking about regime changing Putin. Zelensky was telling the collective West they need to regime change Putin. That was yesterday, right? Anyway, and Putin said, I'm legitimate. Zelensky is not legitimate, according to their constitution. He said that. He was also asked about Ukraine not ready for Istanbul Plus for 2024, June 2024 terms, and not wanting to engage with Russia on those terms. And Putin said, that's fine. If Kiev is not ready, we can wait. He said, we can wait. until Ukraine is ready. And he actually said that the terms, those 2024 terms from June, still hold. Those terms are still on the freaking table. It's been a year plus since Putin put out those terms, of which the collective West media never talks about those terms. But those terms have been out there in the public sphere for more than a year, and they're still on the table. And he said that Russia will wait patiently for when Kiev is ready to accept those terms. He also said that the peace talks should be in private. He said, I understand that people are frustrated with negotiations, but negotiations are difficult, and he's right. Negotiations are very, very difficult, and they take time. But he said that these should be done in private. And he's right. This shouldn't be out in the public. All of this stuff should be in private so that you can get to a good negotiated settlement. He was also asked about the EU-US trade deal, and he said that this has exposed the EU as having no sovereignty. He said that as well. Asked about the recent shameful one-sided trade deal imposed by the US on the EU, Putin described the current situation as long in coming for the bloc, which had been frequently described in private by top officials as an economic giant but a political midget. It was clear that the European Union, Europe, did not have that much sovereignty. Today, it has become obvious that it does not exist at all. And this is immediately followed in the critical situation that has developed by economic losses. The Russian president said, reinforcing Russia's own sovereignty is among the goals of the military operation against Ukraine. Yeah, the EU has no sovereignty. That's obvious now to everybody. And then he was asked about the Oreshnik, and he said the Oreshnik is in mass production. He says the Russian military has got it. It's already been tested. It's being mass produced, and it's going to be in Belarus by the end of the year. And then when he was asked about Chasov Yar, he confirmed that the Russian military has captured Chasov Yar. And he said, commenting on Russia's recent liberation of Chasov Yar, formerly a pivotal Ukrainian stronghold in Donetsk region, Putin stressed that Moscow is taking back what is its own, not seizing foreign territory. See, Trump should be listening to this stuff, man. Trump should be someone should be telling Trump these statements from Putin, man. You see what Russia is saying? Russia's saying that we're just taking back. We're going to continue to take back what was ours. This is what Putin is saying. Trump should be listening to this. And he should be telling Zelensky and the collective West and his advisors, take Istanbul Plus. Take June 2024. Take it. Take it now. Sign it. Anyway, Orban, he continues to go at Ursula, rightly so, because Ursula owes Hungary about 25 billion euros that they refuse to pay to Hungary. So Orban continues to go after Ursula, connected to her amazing negotiations with the United States. And he said that in the negotiations, Ursula looked weak and ridiculous. And he is right. We are what we are: weak, ridiculous, loudmouthed. We educate others, but we have no strength when it comes to negotiating. We show neither talent nor ability, so it's the worst combination. He likened EU diplomacy to a little hamster huddling in the corner, hissing at everyone, arguing with everyone, humiliating ourselves, and then still thinking we are in a position to lecture others about human rights, democracy, and behavior. That's what Orban said. He's right. a little hamster, what do you say? A little hamster hissing and lecturing, huddled in a corner, lecturing at everyone, looking weak and ridiculous. Elon Musk, he said that Ireland should leave the European Union. That's what he posted on X, and he's right about that. Ireland should leave the EU. All countries should, in my opinion. It is destroying democracy in Europe. Musk has his reasons to want to see the European Union break apart, but he is right for whatever his reasons are. The fact of the matter is that the European Union is destroying its member states. It's destroying the collective West. It's destroying the United States. It will destroy the United States because the United States now has to take care of the European Union. So yeah, Elon Musk is right about that. And finally, before we get to some clown worlds, let's talk about the news that Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved from her prison. She was in Florida, right? Was she in Florida or New York? 1 second. I forgot where she was. Or Connecticut. Break-in. Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved to a federal prison camp, Bryan, in Texas, following her meetings with Deputy AG Blanche per Bureau of Prisons. Prison camps are much nicer than prisons. Something's happening here. Did she give up names? I think she was in Connecticut or New York, actually. Anyway, I forgot where she was. But she's being moved to a prison camp now. So I think the way is being prepared for her eventual release. I think that's what's going to happen with Ghislaine. And let me toss this. And Bloomberg actually reported that that the FBI was going through some of the Epstein-Ghislaine documents, and they redacted a ton of stuff, which actually had Trump's name in it, but they redacted all of it. So I don't know, protecting Trump, or I don't know what's going on there. The FBI redacted Trump's name in the Epstein files. The Bureau's Freedom of Information Act team, tasked with conducting a final review of the records, blocked out the names before higher-ups said last month that releasing the documents would not be appropriate or warranted. Yeah, and they say that Bloomberg reports that Trump's name was in these documents, redacted, which doesn't, once again, just because his name is in there, it doesn't mean any wrongdoing, but, you know, his name is there. What else? Let's do some clown worlds. By the way, India, we are getting reports, the Trump White House was saying that they've heard information that India is stopping its purchase of Russian oil, right? And that is what they were saying, but nope, not so fast. Not so fast. The news is that India is still purchasing Russian oil. They're not going to purchase F-35s, and Indian officials are saying that India will buy Russian oil despite President Trump's threats. You do get a sense, a picture of a President Trump that is very much misinformed when it comes to foreign policy. Misinformed about Ukraine, misinformed about casualties, about Putin, about Russia's terms, about India, because the White House was saying, you see, India's stopping its purchase of Russian oil, and Indian officials came out almost immediately, according to the reports that I've read, and they said, no, we're going to still purchase Russian oil. Actually, I've read reports which claim that India is now very willing, very eager to create a tripartite type of arrangement with Russia and China. They want to fix their relations with China, and they want to create a type of three country partnership, because they want to strengthen their position given the threats that Trump has thrown at India, which is a smart move. In other words, Trump has now pushed India closer into the arms of Russia, but of course of China. India already has excellent relations with Russia, and they're not going to give that up. India values its sovereignty, but they're actually pushing India into a closer relationship, or at least fixing its relationship with China. Giant steps are what you take walking on the moon. So let's do a clown world. I told you guys this would be a long video. A lot of stuff to get to. So in today's clown world, we have the Republican Party, the GOP, posted on X an image of Trump standing in front of an automobile with the text, "Making automobiles great again." And the post says, "The one big beautiful bill will drive the return of the great American car." And underneath there's a community note which says, "The car pictured behind President Trump is a stock image of a Russian Soviet-made VAZ 2101, better known as the Lada 1200. It's not an American-made car." This post is still up, by the way. At the time of recording this video, the official account of the GOP has not removed this post. Oh, man. Oh, boy. At a time when Trump is threatening nuclear war with Russia, the GOP posts on X an image of Trump talking about making automobiles great again, standing in front of a Russian Soviet Lada. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. So one more. Clown World Yermak, he jumped on Trump's nuclear escalations, his nuclear threat to Russia. And Yermak, knowing that Trump is a wrestling fan because he wants to kiss up to Trump, Zelensky's entertainment lawyer, knowing that Trump likes wrestling, he posted an image of Trump. It looks like Trump is throwing around, pile driving, or whatever you want to say, Putin in a wrestling match, right? That's the first image from Yermak. And then Yermak posted, "We all watched wrestling. In Ukraine, it was hugely popular. Back when TV aired fights with Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, and Stone Cold. Every kid was glued to the screen. It was an era of power and personality. And what Donald Trump did yesterday in response to Medvedev's remarks, that was a classic tombstone pile driver. Calm, powerful, confident, just the way it should be." Jeez, Yermak, can you kiss up anymore? Can you kiss up anymore? But you're going to get $55 billion. So I guess it kind of works, huh? Kissing up to Trump, I guess, does work. It gets you a lot of American money. But man, yeah, it was calm. It was calm, calm and confident. No, it wasn't. It was a complete sign of weakness, man. Complete weakness. And Trump should never, ever have posted that response to Medvedev. That should have never been posted, and someone in the White House is not doing a good job when it comes to communications or when it comes to Trump's persona, because that was not presidential at all. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video update. There is a link in the description box down below. Take care.